Good evening, everyone, and welcome to this April 2018 edition of Moreton Bay Property Networking Group. Really excited today to have with us a sponsor talk from Bert Bowden from GoGecko Real Estate. I'd like to thank the sponsors, of course, Mobbs & Company Accountants, Mobbs Baker Wealth, Financial Planners, Ray White, North Coast, Strait Mason Lawyers, of course, and GoGecko, and of course, Crediflex. Who are the mortgage brokers who are sponsors of our group. So thank you very much for joining us. Today I'm going to interview Bert, as I said before. Bert is a real estate agent and principal at GoGecko Bribie Island, which for over 8 years has successfully serviced the area from Caboolture, Beachmere, Morayfield, Wamuran, Torbal, and the Sunshine Coast hinterland. Bert's background is an achievement and is to be admired. I really enjoyed talking with Bert because he's really got an interesting background, and we'll talk a little bit about that. He's been a career soldier. He was a Vietnam veteran. He spent 6 years at the Australian Broadcasting Corporation, so the ABC, in the engineering and computing part. He was an analyst programmer for over 10 years, contracted mainly to the Brisbane City Council. He was also a senior security advisor with the Defence Security Authority and has over 8 years in defence-related aerospace industries. And he was also, and I find this very interesting, he's also a Commonwealth Games gold medalist in the 1994 Canadian Commonwealth Games. He was twice champion of the rifle shot of the Australian Army, and he was a winner of several Queen's Prizes for his 10 medal bar. And he's also got the Queen's Medal and Australian Sports Medal of 2000. So Bert's a really interesting guy. He's got lots of interesting things to say. And we talk a bit about sport and how that sport helps and influences his career. So in real estate, before opening the GoGecko Bribie Island office, Bert worked for some years with the Investors Club, and we talk about that too. It's now called the Property Club, assisting others to build up their property investment portfolios. Bert has an admirable portfolio himself and is still ready to assist others to build theirs. So look, I hope you really enjoy this interview. It's nice and short, just going through some of the key things. We cover off on Bert's background, how that helps him with the real estate industry. We also cover off on some key things to look at in buying property, and get Bert's really his insight into where the real estate industry is now and what some challenges are in the real estate industry. So look, please enjoy this interview with Bert Bowden. Welcome, Bert, for your first MBPN interview. How are you today?
I'm doing fairly fine. Good weather outside. I'm enjoying it.
Yeah, excellent. So just wanted to go through a few questions and just so the viewers can get a bit of an idea about who you are and what you do. So you've obviously had quite an impressive career. I've gone through that in the introduction, and quite a diverse background. How do you think that's helped you with what you're doing now in the property game?
I think in the property game, really what we do is we sort out people's problems. In a way, people, if they're selling, buying or whatever, it's to sort out a problem, whether it's to downsize, to upsize, mortgage stress, someone's deceased, for investment purposes, all sorts of things. And I think by having a diverse and wide background and having done a number of things myself, I think that helps me relate very well to people, because I can usually find something to talk to each of the clients about. There's something in common somewhere along the line, and I think that helps a lot in establishing a relationship right from the word go.
Yep, excellent. Well, obviously, you've had quite a good, impressive career in the shooting game and with the Commonwealth Games. How do you? What lessons have you taken from sport into the business and real estate world?
Well, I think the main thing about where I come from in sport, and having been an achiever at Commonwealth Games level and a number of other levels as well, I think that the main focus with any of that sort of thing is to concentrate on the process and get the process right. You'll hear a lot of athletes, swimmers or whatever say that, we're here amongst the best in the world, that we're almost guaranteed of winning a gold medal, but that's the wrong focus. It's sort of like, the way I put it is, it's a name in lights sort of scenario, NIL. Once you start seeing the trophy, you forget all about the process, and of course the end result is you get NIL. You get nothing out of it.
Yep.
I think one of the real lessons for me was when we were preparing to go away in 1994 for the Commonwealth Games. I was at a fundraising function, and the guy that I was next to said to me, "How are you going to go?" And I said, I'll be trying my hardest. He said, well, you're beaten. I said, what do you mean? He said, no such thing as try. You're making excuses for failure. He said, you're either going to do it or you're not.
Yep.
And I think that main message is really what should apply to sport in a big way. And it's something that I've taken on board and something I've used ever since. And it's the focus that I have, that I believe that achieving the best possible result for the client and the customer are the most important things.
Yeah, excellent. Yeah, I recently, for another show that I do, did an interview with Kevin Hockey from Real Estate Agency Sales, and he's a Mad King cricketer, and he says something similar, that the lessons that you take from the sporting world are pretty huge into the business world. So I really like that analogy, and I like talking about that because I think it's really important for people to understand. So tell me a bit about what attracted you to real estate in the first place.
Well, to get involved as opening an agency in real estate, I'd already had some investment properties. I'd bought and sold real estate myself, having owned houses before.
Yep.
And I'd been working with the Investors Club, which is now known as the Property Club.
Yep.
And with them, I'd accumulated a number of investment properties. And I thought there's something that I could do in this local area, because I needed to sort of re-establish myself in my own local area. I've been here 26 years, by the way. But I looked at what I could do, and real estate was something that I had an interest in, and something that I thought, well, I can give this a bit of a go. And I've been at it now for nearly 10 years here in the Caboolture area, Caboolture and Bribie, covering this whole area.
Yep. Excellent, excellent. So, so obviously, we're playing this in the Moreton Bay Property Networking Group Facebook group, and the people in there are all interested in investing in property and looking out for what to buy. So can you go through what you see as the key things that a person should look for when they're buying a property, say as a home specifically? So if they're just going to buy their own home, and then we'll get into how that's different for an investment property.
Yeah, I think the main thing is that they really have to make a list of what their needs are, their requirements, and try and stick to that. If they're going to live in the place, it's got to suit their needs. It might well be that they buy a house in a hurry and then find that it doesn't suit them. And we see that occasionally. But the main thing is to make sure that it accommodates everything from the kids and the family dog and the boat and the trailer and whatever else they happen to have that they might need to be in that family home. And it's not just that either. It's proximity to things. It's like schools, shops, all of those sorts of facilities that people need. They got to consider that too as part of buying a family home. It's not just, hey, there's a house, let's buy it.
Excellent. And so, how does that change for an investment property then? So if someone's looking as an investment rather, what kind of factors should they be looking at in your view when they're buying the property?
Well, sticking the Investors Club hat on again, I suppose, is where it comes from. But the two main things that you're really looking for in an investment property is potential for capital growth and a good tenant pool. So what you would avoid doing, and you've seen a lot of it in the media lately, is the mining towns. Now, the Investors Club always had a philosophy of never buying a mining town. And it's obvious because there's a potential there for the whole town to collapse as soon as the miners close. And same sort of thing with any area where it's subject to change in legislation, like government might change their mind about something. And while there's a boom on there at the moment, it might only last 2, 3 or 5 years. So, and then what you're left with is a worthless property, basically. So you really need to be as close as you can to the capital, which is a good principle to keep in mind, sort of within the 10 Ks out, so it's easy to travel. And you need to make sure that you've got a good tenant pool, which means that there's plenty of tenants available for it. So that you can keep a tenant in your property and therefore not have any downtime or losses in rent.
Excellent tips. So obviously, as I said before, with the viewers of this are in the Moreton Bay region. Obviously, you and I both have businesses based in the Moreton Bay region. What are where do you see the market in Moreton Bay at the moment? You think it's hot, cold? Just chugging along? Where do you see the market at the moment?
I think it's improving. The properties that we get on the books, they don't last very long these days. They're sort of going through fairly quick. But the real secret to it is if it's a good property at a reasonable price, it will sell straight away, effectively.
Right. Yep.
And we're finding that's happening here now in this whole area as a matter of, normal practice. But there is an upturn in the market in the whole district. I've seen that. And that means, of course, that properties are very competitive. So as soon as they come on the market, people are there with the money. And in fact, we've had situations where we've had multiple offers on the same day.
Wow.
You put the paperwork to the people who have made the offers, and all of a sudden there's another 10 grand on the table, So
Wow.
what it means is that people are prepared to put that extra out there to secure the property that they want.
Yep.
And in some cases, I've had people come to me and say, look, we've looked at half a dozen different properties, and by the time we get there, there's a contract on them. So they're very disappointed about that. I think the whole of the Moreton Bay property area, with all its projections for the 30,000 homes in West Caboolture, and the development up of the infrastructure here for industry, the proposal for Caboolture to become a hub for the north of Brisbane and through to the Sunshine Coast, I think all of those things are saying that the Moreton Bay property is going to be really on the upturn for quite some time.
Excellent, excellent. Well, that's good news, and it's good to have some insight from someone who's on the ground dealing with it on a day-to-day basis. So, final question: what do you see as the challenges in the market right now? I mean, obviously you're pretty buoyant about it, but are there any challenges at the moment that you're seeing?
I don't think there's too much of a challenge in terms of selling the property, but what people have to keep in mind is the challenges of putting their property on the market. All the P's of selling, like the position, where it happens to be, whether it's in a good spot, whether it's on a main road or that sort of thing, that can affect the price. Yep. The presentation of it, the next P, is a very, very important one. What they've got to do to their property to make it more appealing for people, so they can attract that extra $20,000 or $30,000 from a buyer. And, I'm quite happy to flip people on a list of what they should look at to be able to achieve that.
Yep.
There's the promotion, how is it promoted?
Yep.
If you just put it on a couple of ad hoc websites or something, or stick it on Gumtree, you're not likely to get anywhere. You've got to have a good promotion behind you. Right? Of course, the most important P then is the price. How you match your price to how your property is presented, where it is, and how it's promoted. And of course, the price is always one of those things. If you have something that's overpriced, nobody will want to come and see it. If you've got something that's underpriced, you'll have a queue all the way back along the street wanting to get in to buy it. So it's a matter of getting that price right, or it's a matter of getting a price where we as the agent can negotiate a good result for the seller.
Excellent, excellent. Well, Bert, obviously you've got a lot of knowledge, and being right there on the ground, it's great. How can people get in contact with you if they want to find out more about the area, about any properties that you've got? Just give us an email address and a phone number, I suppose. People get in contact with you.
Yeah, well, they can always contact us on 3408 1655. That's 3408 1655. Our email address is quite simply bribeyisland@gogecko, gogecko.com.au, or they can just Google us up as GoGecko Bribey Island, and that'll find us as well.
Excellent, excellent. Well, Bert, thank you so much for your time. I think that all the people who are watching this will get a lot out of it. Is there anything that I've missed that you think is important that you want to get over to people today?
No, I don't think so. I think the main thing is to just buy or sell when the time comes, because there's no point in jumping in or jumping out just simply for the sake of it. We do have people that do that, and it's not the good way to go. The other thing that I might just mention there is that when you do find a property, don't just sit back and wait to sell your own. There are processes where you can put a contract on a property subject to sale of your own. And I've seen that so often, where people suddenly have sold their property and they've got 4 weeks then to find something else.
Yep.
That is not the way to go, because you finish up buying something that you just simply don't want or doesn't suit.
Yeah, that's a great tip. And if you do decide to do that, make sure that you put a clause in the contract, to make it subject to the sale as well. I had one recently where someone didn't put that clause in the contract, and it causes all sorts of problems. But
well, that's a minefield if you don't do that. That's for sure. Yeah. So
absolutely. Unfortunately, we see them from time to time. Anyway, well, look, but thank you so much for your time. Really appreciate it. And as anyone who's got any further questions, I'd encourage you to either put them up on Facebook and I'll get them over to Bert, or email him or call him on the numbers provided. So thank you very much, Bert.
all right, thanks, Jeremy. Have a good one.
You too.